Welcome back. We're in section 8.2, example 4, and I'm going to show you how to calculate the vertex of a parabola when you don't have a graph. Remember, when you do have a graph, just look and you can find the vertex actually quite easily. It's either your maximum point if it opens down, or it's your minimum point when it opens up. But when you're given an equation, you don't have to graph it to know what the vertex is. We can actually calculate it very, very easily. So I'm going to demonstrate 2, and I'll leave 1 for you to do by yourself, okay? Let me do letter A with you. All we know is y equals negative x squared minus 2x. That's all we're given. We don't know anything else. It's in standard form. How do I find the vertex? Well, I know one way to find the x, because remember what I taught you a couple sections ago. The x of your vertex is also your axis of symmetry. They are the same number. So if I calculate my axis of symmetry, I will know the x of my vertex. So that's where you're going to get started. We're going to use this equation, the opposite of b divided by 2a, and we're going to calculate the x of our vertex, which also happens to coincide to be your axis of symmetry. All right, so a is negative 1. Do you see how you have a negative x squared? That's an understood negative 1 there. So a is negative 1. B is negative 2. We don't have a c, so c would be 0 because we don't have a constant number, so it would be an understood 0. Okay? So let's look at it. We have the opposite of b. That's the same thing as negative 1 times b over 2 times a. So negative 1 times negative 2 over 2 times negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. So I just found the x of my vertex. Okay, I am good to go. There it is. I know my axis of symmetry is negative 1. I also know the x of my vertex is also negative 1. They are one and the same. All right, now how do I find the y? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to go back to the original equation. Y equals negative x squared minus 2x. And everywhere you see an x, you're going to plug in a negative 1. Now in a calculator, this is what that would look like. You would do negative 1 times, and then in parentheses, do negative 1 squared minus 2 times negative 1. I put parentheses around that first negative 1 because I'm squaring that integer, and I want the calculator to know I'm squaring a negative 1. Okay? So you can put it all in just like I have it typed there, or written there, and let's see if we can calculate that pretty easily. We know that negative 1 squared is positive 1, right? And then we have to multiply here and here. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. And then negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So our vertex is going to end up, for this particular parabola, it's going to start at negative 1, 1. That's where it's going to start. It actually opens down because it has a negative coefficient out in front. And so that's going to be the very top of my graph. Okay? Let me do C with you. Let's see here. We got A is 1. That's the understood coefficient in front of the x squared. B is negative 4. C is negative 10. I don't really need C. Not in this particular formula, the opposite of B over 2A. So let's look at B. B is negative 4. Well, I need the opposite of negative 4, which is positive 4. And then 2 times A, that's 2 times 1, which is 2. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So for my vertex, it's going to be 2 something. So I got to find out what the y is by plugging 2 back in for the x. Okay, so in your calculator, you're just going to put 2 squared, which is 4. minus 8 minus 10, and then you got negative 4 minus 10, which is negative 14. So my vertex for letter C is going to be at 2, negative 14. And that's what I'm looking for. That's how I calculate that vertex. Okay? I'm going to leave B for you. Extra credit, 1 point if you can identify. Please show me your work. Do not just write down a number. All I know that you could have done is you could have done it in your calculator, or you could have copied it off your friend's paper. How am I supposed to know if I don't see work? So please show me your work in the margin there, and then identify the correct vertex. All right, bring your questions to class.